You know, when I bought my property in that abandoned house in 2014, there was a few people said I was crazy. Definitely thought I was off my rocker, but I'll bet you they're not saying that now. And I read a lot of comments and watch a lot of videos where people are struggling more now than ever before. I don't really notice. I don't notice any difference from when I bought the place in 2014 than I do now. I mean, I am a single guy. My place, I don't have a mortgage. And I haven't noticed, I mean, my life's gotten better. But I think a lot of it is the way you choose to live your life. If you bought a, huge house with a huge mortgage before things really started getting rough, or you have to have the latest and greatest of everything that's new, could be part of the problem you're struggling. A lot of people live way beyond their means, and they've done this for a long time. They run up a credit line and they can never get caught up because interest just keeps eating them up. They'll have a credit card balance, the mortgage, they don't seem to go down. If you got a big $400,000, I could never imagine paying $400,000. It'd be a cold day in hell for I'd give $200,000 for a house, let alone $400,000, which is close to the national average. That's insane. I gave $10,500 for mine, and I can sleep just as good as somebody in $1 million house. Yep. I sleep real good because it's paid for. But I'm not bragging about that. I'm just saying it's all in how you choose to live is how you're going to feel any kind of economic pressure. If you're living, you got to have the best food, you got to have the best cars, you got to have the best clothes. You're going to feel those things. I buy cheap pants from Walmart and 6-pack of t-shirts most of the time. I don't buy expensive clothes. It's just something that covers your skin. Why would I want to spend a bunch of money on that? I'm not out to impress anybody. I don't want to impress anybody. I want clothes that are practical because I'm going to ruin them painting like I've been doing today. And I'll just go get new ones. But a lot of people, they want to move to a certain place, and I understand you have to move to where the jobs are. But you don't have to buy the most expensive house on the street either. And a lot of younger people are buying these for these ridiculous prices, and it isn't like the old days where you would get hired on at a job and you would put in 20, 25, 30 years and retire. Those jobs don't exist anymore. There's practically nowhere you can be guaranteed a job from the time you start till you retire. They're just not out there. I would say on average, most people today are going to have 5 to 15 to 20 jobs in their working lifetime. And so how can you, I don't even know how younger people are even buying places today. Unless you start your own, even if you started your own company, that's no guarantee that something isn't going to change that makes whatever you do obsolete, or someone else comes in, starts the same kind of business, and now you have competition, maybe someone else as well. But most people today they're their own worst enemies. Their own worst enemies by their lifestyle choices. When you're young, I never stayed anywhere long enough to buy a house ever. But when you're young, start out with a smaller house. Find something that you have to fix up probably. You can get those a lot cheaper. And then that will also build your skills up for later on in life. Your construction, you'll learn how to do things. There's nothing inside of a house that a normal person cannot do, including electrical, plumbing. Yeah, there's a lot of places that you choose to live that have codes that don't allow that. So keep those things in mind if you do buy a fixer-upper. But, you know, I see so many young people that are starting out with brand new homes and brand new cars. All you need is a vehicle that will get you there and back, and it doesn't have to be pretty. But everybody has to have the latest and greatest, and I would say 80% of the people that are complaining that life is rough, they put themselves there. That's just the way it is. I'm not experiencing any hardships, you know. I didn't have squat when I moved here. I had 22 bucks in my pocket when I showed up in this state 13 years ago. That was all I had. I had a couple of boxes in the trunk of my car and some clothes. That was it. That was all I had, and they repoed my car the next week. I spent $900. I paid a guy 50 bucks a week for a fifth wheel. I was working at a ranch, paying them 50 bucks a week for a $900 fifth wheel, and just worked from there, you know. And then, you know, I am far from rich, but I don't measure wealth in what I got in the bank. I measure wealth by how happy I am and how life's treating me, how good life is to me, and I'm very wealthy that way. I don't know what they're doing back there, like a cement truck. Somebody from out of state bought that land, and they're probably from New York City or somewhere. No, they're not going to be from New York City. Them people don't move nowhere except Florida. And they're probably from Texas. Yeah, I don't know what they're doing. Sounds like a cement truck to me. But anyway, you know, I can understand. I mean, it's going to be very difficult for younger people coming out of school nowadays to get a start. It is going to be very difficult. And I don't believe in parents giving their kids anything, but nowadays they may need a little help getting started. But I think that help should be earned. They need to show that they are capable of keeping a job, working a job. They need to show a little responsibility before they could be helped, and maybe help them out with a down payment on a house if you have it. You know, I certainly didn't get any of that, and you know, me and my brothers made our own ways in the world, but it was different times, and it's a lot harder now, and it's only going to get worse. But you have to limit what you buy. Okay, if you don't need it, don't buy it. A lot of people do impulse buying. They're buying things that are taking away money for something else that you could apply towards your rent or your mortgage. And people just don't care. They want things, they want it now, and they want fancy things. They're not needed. They're not needed, but it's all in the way you were brought up. If you were brought up without those things, then you will have no problem adapting without them. You don't need a fancy car because your neighbor has one. You see those things all the time. People want to outdo each other. Their group of friends, they all have this sort of bicycle, so then now they got to go out and buy one, even though they don't really want it. It's called keeping up with the Joneses, and people that try to keep up with the Joneses, they don't do too well. They end up bankrupt. And you know, I feel for the younger people today, I do, but it's always been rough for young people getting out in the world and starting their own families. That has always been rough. And that's another thing. Nobody said you are required to get out there, get married, and start a family. You're also not required to spend $30,000 on a stupid wedding that you're probably going to end up divorced in 5 years over. You know, people waste money on ridiculous things. Weddings, that is a big one. Go to the courthouse, get married, doesn't work out, you're out $50, the application fee, you know. Don't even need rings. You don't legally have to have rings. People just have gotten into a routine of tradition. Christmas is another one. Nobody cares what Christmas is about. It's about buying a bunch of crap and putting it under a fake tree, or even a real tree where you cut down just to put in your house for 2 weeks. You know, that something that produced oxygen. It's another tradition, you know, that has went overboard. So, well, I'm going to make this one short so I can go and feed my dogs. I had another idea, but hey man, bird, the mules were chiming in earlier, and now I got these birds. That's enough. You see, you just can't, Mother Nature don't listen. Thanks for watching, guys. Happy trails. Let me know what you think in the comments.